B.Simone, you have done some wild stuff during your career, but selling access to your close friends to talk about the death of one of your friends, that's a lot.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on.
What's going on, you all? It's been a while since I have talked about B.Simone, since the coloring book incident and her stealing folks stuff and selling it as her own. These social media influencers, girl, we need to have a conversation. We need to sit down because these social media influencers, some of them, majority of them are broke. A lot of them are broke. Girl, let me tell you something, I'm broke too. The gig is up. Like, for real, capitalism is beating all of our butts, all of us. And all of us are just trying to survive. And we're finding ways to survive in the middle of a recession and gas prices jumping up, housing, all of this other stuff. Like, everything is just so expensive. I think today is the first time in a while that I said, I'm not filling up my tank today. I'm only putting, I don't want to share this with y'all. It's everywhere. Like, I am tired, but I say all of this to say that to sell access to your close friends on Instagram is very, very telling. B.Simone has been on TV. She's been on cable TV. She could have created a YouTube channel. She could have hired someone to edit videos. She could have took some of these videos and posted on the Patreon, or did one of these subscription things. I mean, Instagram even have it where you can have people pay you for subscriptions to access to content on Instagram. Even Twitter has it. Selling it to your close friends, that's a lie. And B.Simone is not wrong for selling access to her life. I don't think anything is wrong with that. A lot of creators do that to supplement income because, ad rates are, up and down. YouTube is currently experiencing that right now. The ad rates this year are way lower than they were last year and the previous year. And, like, some creators have to find a way to be able to supplement that. I'm thankful to be in a space where I have a couple of other things going on. So when this happens, I'm not that affected, but I can still feel it. But I just would not use the passing of my friend as a way to advertise access. So recently, we all know about DC Young Fly's wife, Jackie O, unfortunately passed away. And B.Simone is really close to her. They were really friends and stuff. And I think they've done podcasts and stuff together. I've seen videos of them doing content and things together. So after this, around the time after the passing, which has not been that long, B.Simone said that, hey, I'm only talking about my private life on close friends. If you all want to know about that, this is where to get the content at. And a lot of people, thought the timing of that was bad and it was completely tone deaf to show that, to post that right after, because it seems that she was alluding that she would talk about how she feels about her friend passing and her close friends, and you have to pay for it. Now, I just want to say that unfortunately, when we are working in these things, it is kind of hard to not be a person that's trying to make money from every little thing. I see it. It's very easy as someone like a B.Simone and someone even like myself to make everything about money, make every little being, every little experience about money. I've said this a couple of times on this platform, how I can go out to eat, I can, document the whole thing, and, that's content. I can go to the club, I can go out, that's content. I can travel, me going on a summer trip with my family next week, I can document that, make that content. I can complain about stuff, make content, make money. Every little thing can be turned into content to make money off of. And it is up to the creator to be honest with themselves and say, hey, you know what? There's a time and a place. You have to stop being greedy. And B.Simone has showed us several times that she's really, really greedy. Remember, this is the one who, plagiarized majority of the stuff in her book. And made it seem like it was something that she came up with, and another person came up and said, no girl, this is stuff from my own book. You taking my stuff and you sold it. And B.Simone is not the only celebrity and social media influencer who has done that. I know plenty of folks who have had that paperback book saying this is their feelings, and when you open it up, it's nothing but a planner, a couple of quotes and stuff, how to make money, how to stay this and that, and it's just like they're selling people a dream. Because at the end of the day, these people don't have any morals. It's always about money, produced the cheapest product, the cheapest way to be able to make money. And this is B.Simone's way of doing that. Now, I think it's tacky. It's completely tacky, considering how all of this happened, how Jackie O passed away, considering that she left like 3 children and also a partner. Like, she was in a relationship, I think she was married or whatever, to DC Young Fly. So to post this when you are close to the family, because you were close to her, to post that I'm going to be selling access is essentially you saying that I'm going to use this person that I loved and cared about, death, as a way to make money. When you could have just honestly just talked about it in your close friends. You could have just honestly just posted and talked about how you feel in your close friends, but you're so greedy that you wanted to use this opportunity to say, hey, I know y'all want my reaction. Without saying it, I know y'all want my reaction, so if you want to know my reaction, subscribe. And I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't matter how much you charge these folks or whatever. These people are not going to stick around, because you are, this moment like this is not something that is going to happen week to week. Even if they do subscribe to you, just to see and hear you talk about the passing of your friend, they're not staying long term. They're not staying long term. And now you have put yourself out and you're being aired out again. Honestly, folks have not dragged you in a minute. Like, you were getting dragged real bad. Like, folks were calling you a bird, they were calling you stupid. You somehow, with being silent and not being caught up in drama, were able to clean up your image by being silent. And you couldn't even just sit and say, you know what? I'm just going to continue to do what I'm doing, and I'm going to talk about it in my close friends and whatever, and if people are interested, just whatever. But you were just so interested in more money. You became greedy. And I always say, when you become greedy is when you get caught. And that's what's happening now, because she could have just continually talked about whatever she was talking about. She's already been giving content about her life. She's already sold access and been selling access to her life. So it wouldn't have been bad necessarily if she talked about it in her close friends. But where you make the mistake in advertising during the middle of your grieving process. So now we're looking at you like all of the stuff is fake. Like, all of it's fake. You're fake. You're fake. As someone I lost my brother 2 years ago, it'll be 2 years in August, I did talk about the experience and everything on my Patreon. Like, I talked about it on my Patreon, bits and pieces, and did a couple of live streams, but I never advertised it as, hey, y'all want me to do this. I've always shared that I'm a little bit more personal on my Patreon behind the paywall. The only reason why I wasn't posting any YouTube content, but I was posting stuff in my Patreon, because Patreon to me was a safe space for me to be vulnerable. And also, these are people who are paying me a subscription, and I just wasn't feeling creative. So the only thing I can do, and people were appreciative of, was me talking about my experience, my storytelling of this moment, because a lot of us can relate to losing a loved one. And that's something that some of us have thought about. I would never go and post some type of advertisement to say, hey, I know y'all are waiting for me to give my thoughts on this. Let me give you a link so you can subscribe and pay me so I can talk about it. Like, come on now. Like I've said, once you become greedy, you try to make money from every little thing. And creators have to be able to tell the difference between doing too much, selling too much, and just letting things go. There was no need to post and say, hey, I'm selling access to my grief. Grief is not supposed to be profitable. Even though we live in the type of world that we live in, and we have to pay for folks to be buried or whatever, all the other stuff, it should not be where you're sharing your loss to a person who was not, like, the story is tragic. The story is tragic. Now, if B.Simone had waited 2 or 3 weeks later or a month or so later and said, hey, you know, I documented my experience with that or da-da-da-da, then it would have been perceived differently. It would have been perceived differently because it wasn't posted right then and there. See, y'all have to, this is why y'all need PR bad. This is why everybody, just because you can record and put a camera in front of you and talk, doesn't mean you should. This doesn't mean you should, because there's a way to, hey, you know what, da-da-da, like, but it would have been less backlash. It would have been less backlash. But right now, when people are, you know, feeling bad for the family, feeling bad for the kids, and to post it, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. And, you know, people aren't necessarily hungry for that. They do want to know how someone feels, but to just advertise it like that, come on, B.Simone, you should know better. You should know better. And considering how black folks, how we are, we're very sensitive to death. Very, very sensitive. And it's honestly, I've been trying to do a video about it for a while now, but I can't never find the perfect time, and it's never a perfect time to talk about it, to be honest. But my thoughts around it, especially experiencing the things I experienced, 2 major loss, 2 people I'm very, very close to, my aunt and also my brother, to just, you know, discuss how we think about death, how we, you know, react to death, and why we need to talk about it, why we need to have some conversations about it. And, you know, it's a very touchy subject because we don't want to think about it, but it's something that is going to eventually happen to all of us. But yes, B.Simone, greed got the best of her. Greed and just complete disgust and dismissing of a family's feelings in the time. The fact that DC Young Fly even posted a message thanking fans and stuff for this, I just couldn't imagine. Like, it's just a lot of things going on. He has children that he has to raise now. And, you know, by himself, without his loved one. So he has to be there for these children. He has to be there for himself. It's a lot. And to now get online and, you know, or hear whispers of conversations of one of your partners, your girlfriend, your wife, fiance's friend solicit access to talking about the death, it's just disgusting. But it just really goes to show us that these folks don't have any morals when it comes to money, and that makes them extremely dangerous.